Hello friends, welcome back to my studio. Hope you're well. So I've got some painting to share with you this week after being really inspired by the exhibitions I've been to this year so far. And I mentioned in last week's vlog about looking at more of Cy Twombly's work, and I showed an image that had been the main inspiration. And so that's what I have been following up with in the last couple of weeks. So Cy Twombly is probably known for more of his loop paintings, his chalkboard paintings, what became known as chalkboard paintings because they look like chalk on a board, and lots of very bright colours and really massive canvases where he would work on, he'd purchase a big roll of canvas and just kind of roll out as he worked and continue to unravel the roll as he worked. So he has these really sparse canvases. And some of his work once he got to Rome was looking at antiquity, and he did these paintings, and the particular one I'm thinking of as I talk is the Apollo painting, where he mostly working in graphite or pencil, and then he's putting this thin wash of soft greys or whites over, masking it, and then putting a pencil on again, working it again. And then there's this image of riding a polo and scrubbing it out and riding it again and scrubbing it out. So I didn't talk a lot about his work, so it's all about up to interpretation. But it's something about hiding, and his early critics were like, why is he hiding everything that he's creating? He keeps putting all these washes over everything that he's painted, and they didn't really understand, and they're quite critical of it. But it almost, working like that almost makes the marks that are left more important. And someone who really used that and was potentially influenced by Cy Twombly was Basquiat. And he certainly talked about crossing words out and leaving words visible because they were the ones that he wanted you to read and to know and had the most weight to them. So I felt quite inspired by this, seeing as I'd done those pencil drawings and then I've been playing around with washes. I thought, well, okay, how about I incorporate the two? And I'll just show some images here of where the layers began. And this is these pencil drawings that you saw me do over the log. And so they're in a charcoal pencil and lead pencil. And I just put a thin wash over the top for the first layer. And actually I used, Nicholas Wilson had a little mini, he does these little mini Sunday studio YouTube sessions, and he mentioned about, and I'll just find the book that it's in. He just happened to mention about how stark white is, particularly titanium white. And he spoke about the most beautiful white and how to create it. And so it's titanium white mixed with a little bit of yellow ochre or yellow oxide and a little bit of cad yellow light. Now I don't have any cad yellow. I've talked before about cadmiums and how I don't like to have those in the studio, but I substituted the Hansa yellow light. So I mixed up this lovely warm, and this is the page here, you can see my little workings out, and just comparing it to the Matisse Antique white. And there's a bit of glare on it, but it is a lovely warm white, even against these pages that have got the antique white on them, particularly compared to the titanium white that you can see there. So these images all have that warm white over them. And as I was working, there was one that I'd already put a little bit of colour on, and I really liked the way I could push as I'd been playing around, as I said, with the catalyst wedge, where I could change the depth of the wash or the thickness of the wash, where I could really use this firmly and scrape the wash away, or I could use it more gently over the surface and let the wash sit. So I was playing around with how that lovely warm white sat over these colours, and that's what's so important to play and not to be able to enter your art, particularly when you're in that exploratory stage, not trying to create anything, but just watch what happens. Something sparks an interest and then you follow that along. So that's what I did. So I've put colours, and this is just showing you now the various layers that they went through. I decided to work in quite transparent colours. So these have a phthalo blue and a cobalt turquoise on the first layers. And then I move into that burgundy colour that I spoke about, the quin red with the chromium green in it to make that deeper muted red. Some of the magenta light mixed with the antique white, and then also some of that lovely green mix that I've again really worked with it in a very transparent way and put a lot of white in with it as well. Also going over some of them again with a bit more graphite pencil. The one that's working the best is this one here. Hopefully you can see that. It's the one that out of all 6 is really looking like a finished piece. And what I love about it is how I've still got some of that background colour in, and it's quite transparent. It's got some really lovely marks in it and some story, I guess. There's still a lot of the original layers story in this one compared to the others. Where I got into trouble was because this was the first cab off the rank, if you like. I worked on them all one by one. As I put colours on, I put colours on all of them, let them dry, and then picked up the next piece and went along. That's another really good thing to do, is work on more than one piece at a time. It takes your focus off, so you're not so intensely focused. It also helps you come to it with fresh eyes, and it just helps you not be so precious. So, but what I did was, because this was the first one, as I laid it down with this last layer on, I went, oh, that's really lovely. That's working really, really nice. And so then I went ahead and I tried to make all of the other 5 look like this. And of course they weren't successful because they weren't meant to be that. I was meant to still be playing on them. So today, this one's staying as is, and the other 5 I'm going to paint over or continue to paint layers on. And I think what I'm going to do is, instead of keeping them, because I was working with them all on this orientation, I think I'm going to really spin them around and let go of that kind of very traditional horizon landscape and just really try and mix it up and get back into the play, because here's what happens when you let go. And those 5 at the moment are examples of what happens when you try too hard. So let's get into some painting with Free Abandon. Here we are with our first piece, and the only thing I've decided is that because this burgundy here has this quin red in it, I'm going to go over with some straight quinacridone red because it's a lovely transparent colour. So I'm hoping to use the catalyst wedge and to be able to keep some of the background. And the only other thing I'm planning on doing is allowing, this to really move around and not be too precious about it. So let's go. So that first wash I put down was a little thin and I didn't like how it was pooling so much. So I've just put a bit more straight paint in and less water. And yeah, remember when I said the texture of the paintbrush and then you put a wash over the top, how it really picks up that texture. So I'm getting that happening again there, which is lovely. And I'm trying to just get a bit of colour into this without too much of the red. Again, I'm trying not to make too many decisions. It's dried already. Because I don't like those sort of marks. So before the paint, it's kind of dry, but before it really sets, and just especially when it's thin like that, you can, if you're quick, wet it down and take it off. And that can be nice to play around with as well. So I've just dampened the tip of that cloth and being able to take some of that out. This is really nice here, what's happening in here. Okay, so let that dry and go to the next. So with this one, I got too caught up in doing this circular motion, I think, and because I really liked that softness through the center, I repeated it on all of them, but what I've got is kind of 3 different paintings. So I bought this pencil today. It's a woodless charcoal pencil. It's a soft pencil, so it's just pure charcoal in a stick, and it's got kind of a vinyl coating to keep it all together. So let's just wake this up with a bit of this. That already looks heaps better. I like that, the 2 colours together, the muted tone and then the brighter one, and that very transparent. I really like that area there. Great. And you can see I've fallen into the same thing. I really liked that this colour and in this place, but then because I didn't want to disrupt this and I wanted to leave room for it, I've only worked on the 2 sides of it. So again, really like these marks. So let's bring those back in. try not to think too much. Just want to deepen that pink colour and change it around a bit. And I think we need another colour going on. This grey is this colour here with more white in it. And that's the little recipe there of how I made that colour. But let's get a bit of this kind of duck egg, very pale duck egg blue colour, which is this one. And that's how I got to this colour here. You can screenshot that to get that little recipe. Don't want to lose my lines there too much. So I'll just, while it's wet, take some of that away. And then when it's on your cloth, you can be putting it down elsewhere as well. It's a nice colour. Try and dry that off with the cloth so I can come in with that over the top again. Nice. Don't like that magenta mixing in. It's so hard to let things be. And yeah, stay. It's very hard to stay in the experiment. There we go. Let's move on. This one again has that little bit, but I at least started to come over. And I'm glad I left these lines. Really like them. This has got sort of, I wonder whether we mimic that. Loving this. Don't like this. Just going to take that. I mean, I could cover it with paint, but I actually really like what's happening in the background there, so I want to take that off now. Yeah, good. Do we want some blue on there? Why not? I don't really want it to mix with the red, so again, I'm obviously thinking a little bit about it because I'm putting the paint, I am choosing where to put the paintbrush down. I'm not being you know, when you say working intuitively, you can't do that unless your eyes are closed or something, I think, because there's still going to be a little bit of your own knowledge and experience and choice come into play. But as much as you can, let things happen. Good, that's enough of that one. And this one, you can see I did it after the last one, where it's got this same shape that I put into the last one. And I started to see that I was putting too much of this colour in, and so trying to mix it up and change it a bit. So let's put on our red. I'm putting the quinacridone red on all of them because it looks like it's working quite well with the others, and it does help you stay in a series when your colour palette's been able to be the same. They would look like really different pieces if I was to put only one colour on one and not on the others. I'm not saying necessarily that these are all going to be finished pieces and that they're going to be set together in a series, but it's a good idea when you're working. Yeah, that's quite nice. I like that. Put a bit more. So see, it's not completely intuitive. I'm still responding to what I like and what I don't enjoy as I'm doing it. But yeah, for simplicity, going back to what I was saying before about keeping the same colours and doing what you're doing to all of them with the same colours and the same sort of mark making is a good idea. Now, I didn't put blue on all of them, did I? So we'll come back to that too. Where are we going to put this? This is a bit blank. So I chose to put that blue there because I had a lot of negative space there. Not for any other reason than that. And I'm also making a conscious decision because I like this area so much. I am consciously not going over it. Good. So I'll just come back to this first one because we hadn't put any blue on this one. And yeah, this is just not doing much at all, is it? So let's really change it up. Don't like those shapes at all. But as soon as you cover some, now they're different shapes. They're not those little rosettes that they were. So when you don't like something, you don't necessarily have to take all of it out. That's still a bit damp. It's picking up the quin red there. I like a lot of what's in the background there, so I'm only just going to put a bit over there. And yeah, we need to change this somehow. So let's do... The graphite will pick up the wet paint a bit. Good. That's improved a lot. And this one needs a bit of this blue if I'm going to do what I say myself. And the other thing I guess I'm looking at is the shapes. How many are very similar? You know, I've got these similar third blocks, and they're also quite similar in shape this way as well. So part of working, when you might say intuitively, it's also about breaking up those. It's all very well to have rhythm, but you don't want to have all the same, because it's boring for the eye. And you want to engage the eye. You want to excite it. You want to have something to see and do. Yeah, I'll need to knock those back because they're starting to they're very similar, these two here. So I'll need to change that up, but I need another colour, and I need this to dry some before I do that as well. The other thing that I had been doing, which is quite nice, is this. I've showed you this great big brush. And yes, you're meant to use a brush up here, but because I'm wanting to soften the mark, see, it takes that brush mark out and it gives you a lovely softness, which is, so now, I mean, this has picked up a little bit of the magenta, the red colour, but this is now different to these. These are still the same, but this is now different to it because I've changed this shape. Rather than it kind of being this oblong like they are, I've changed it where it's got this softness and then this textured area. And I'm just going to come back to this piece that I said I wasn't going to touch. Now I've seen this blue on the others, I want to put a bit of blue on this, but I'm going to be much more careful about where I put it because there is so much that is working and working well. I don't like this here. I'm not sure whether I've picked up a bit of white paint or something's gone over that red, so I'm just going to put a bit on there. And because I've got it there, I want it somewhere else. Maybe in a different kind of mark as well. Good. It's giving some nice texture, that. Too much. Just taken off exactly where I wanted to cover it. Trying too hard. Go back to that texture. Yep. Nice. It's all quite same. So I'm just going to soften. Soften it off, and in doing that it's increased its size, So I'm just going to knock it back a bit. Yeah, it's nice. I've got this kind of leaf tree shape in there. That's nice. Okay, here we are in the order they were created. So this was the original that I've just put a little bit of blue on in the end. This one I turned upside down for memory, and I think it's got a long way to go, but it's actually, through the camera lens, it's looking really, really good, actually. The colours are a bit more muted in the lens to what I can see, and I think it's working better. So I might even put just a wash to tone that down. What's looking really nice on the camera is this area here. They're kind of like trees. And the next one, this is probably the one that's improved the most in my opinion. As I said, oh sorry, I'm trying to talk and hold the camera. I need to change these shapes, but in terms of the overall, yeah, really like that. And now these ones, sorry, the shadow on there, I probably could have been a little more brave. I don't think I've changed this enough. I really need to attack that one. Really like the contrast that's happening here. Really kind of like this that much. And who knows, what I might even do is tear that and piece it together again and see if I can make something from it. This one, sorry, I'm trying to not have the shadow. Let me just turn it around so it's not in the sun. Yeah, I like this. I think this is working well. Not sure about this broken line here. I think I might, yeah, change something in there. And this is about the same size as this. So I might play around with, might take this shape. Yeah, I'm not sure, but that needs a little bit more. And this last one, bit of a mess really. It's not strong anywhere. So again, I might do a bit more work, or I might tear that up, piece it together with the other one and see if I can make something of it. So that's where we got to in this video. I think out of those 6, there's 4 that are a real chance, even though I am trying not to be attached to the end outcome and a finished piece. But they're going to be great jumping off points. If I can make them fairly successful, I can go forward then into what will be finished work. So the feedback I've been getting is that you'd really like to hear more of the process. So I've tried today to talk as I paint. I'm not sure how successful it is. I'll see when I edit and hear from all of you. It's really hard to have both your left brain and your right brain engaged at the same time, because really when you're creating, you're really in your right brain. So, and your left brain, if I've got this right, your left brain is the more logical thinking, talking. So yeah, to be turning them on and off is quite the challenge, but I hope I gave you enough information there to show you what I was thinking, what I was trying to do. And as always, I really hope this inspires you to get your own paints out and get going and just create. And it doesn't matter about what it looks like. As you can see, some there that were pretty lost with one very quick painting session of only adding 2 more colours, they've really leapt forward. And of course, some of that is the skill and the knowledge of where to put paint down, but you only get there by having a go and learning what your hand can do. and what your heart can create. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely week, and I shall see you next week. Bye.